Hello there. It is Ingrid Owens. How are you doing? I will give some people a minute to get on here, get on live with me. Let me know where you are coming from, where you are at today, and hopefully you can hear me okay. Let me just connect this because I'm using a different headset. It's a bit wonky, but it has good, I think it has a better microphone. So we shall see how that works. So, let's give everybody a second to get on. I know there were some people who wanted to join me live on this call. A bit of a mix up with the time zone. It's always the way. So I am coming at you here. I am in Ireland and we are in the British summertime right now. So, but I have come from the United States. I used to live in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm used to dealing in EST, and a lot of my clients are still in the Eastern Standard Time and all the way over to the Pacific Standard Time and beyond as well. So I will give everybody a chance to get on here. And of course, if you are watching me in the replay, make sure you use hashtag replay. Let me know that you watched this. And of course, if you find that it is valuable, I would really appreciate that you would share it with a friend or tag a friend in this video who you think might enjoy it. So, in case we've never met before, again, my name is Ingrid Owens. I'm a business coach and marketing strategist for online entrepreneurs and people who want to grow their business using online marketing methods. Today, I wanted to talk to you in this little Biz Talk Tuesday show about the real reason why you are not getting clients. So, this is something that I've wanted to talk about. I get I hear about it every single day. Every time I talk to anybody on the phone, they are telling me these same sorts of things. So I thought, well, you know what? It's about time we did a video. Good morning, Linda. Thank you for joining me live. Um, I hear people saying, I have a great website. I've done all the things. I've got the URL. I've got the clients, sorry, I've got the idea. I've got the product. I've been spending a lot of time perfecting my skills. I think I'll change this thing. I think I'll, do something else. Keep um, perfecting, right? And then they set up shop, hang out their shingle, and they are sitting there with no clients, right? And the Holy Grail is that we want people to come and find us, right? We don't want to have to go look for people because, if we have used the analogy of real business or of legitimate brick and mortar business, not saying that your business is not legitimate, far from it, if it is online, but just if you were to use the analogy of a brick and mortar business, we would be thinking, okay, so we buy the premises, we get it fully stocked, we set it up, we hang out our shingle, and we are open for business. And that works in the high street typically. But online, we have to remember that it is just like a big desert out there. Yes, there's certainly cities, but there's also an awful lot of people compared to the, a lot of options that people have. And if people are not told to go past your shop, they're never going to find you, right? Because it's just too big of a sprawling place, right? So we want to make sure that you are not building your business right in the middle of a desert, and we want to make sure that you have what we call visibility, so that people can or so that you can drive traffic to your business. So this is a little different to the traditional way of making a business. Like I said, it's so funny because when I'm here and I'm back in Ireland, like, my dad still has a shop here, and it's such a smaller town and everything. Like, even in Atlanta, you could be driving the same road for months and days, years, and you might not even notice a store, right? Because unless you want to go to that store, you're never really going to go. It's very different to here because we have a town, you walk around, people are just walking, they're going to see a store, and that might pique their interest and walk in. But that doesn't really happen it certainly doesn't happen in a lot of places in America. It doesn't happen here online either. You've really got to tell people where you're at and let them come in and invite them in. So, what I wanted to talk today about was the real reason why you're not getting clients is not typically because your stuff isn't pretty enough, or your work isn't good enough, or your store isn't correct enough. It's probably because you're not being visible. Okay? You're invisible. So let's talk about three things how you're keeping yourself hidden and not being seen. And let's see if you can relate that to your business and make a change there. Okay. Now, the first thing is the reason why you haven't got any clients is because nobody can hear you. Okay. Now, that typically means that you are either talking to everybody, or your message about your product is too general, right? Because when we are talking to the World Wide Web, we have infinite amount of people to deal with, right? We have infinite amount of people that can hear. There's no shortage of buyers. There's no shortage of people who want your thing. What it comes to is that when you're talking to everybody, you're talking to nobody. So you really have to hone and craft your message about your services, about your product, so that it speaks directly to the person who you're trying to serve. So this involves you getting clear on who your person is, and also getting clear on who you are and what your message is and who you stand for, right? So, first of all, you have to get clear on who your person is. You have got to get clear on who your ideal client is, because you've got to know the places that they hang out. You've got to know the types of wording they'd like to hear. You've got to know, the language that's going to resonate for them. And ultimately, you have to know the problem that you are trying to solve. Now, no matter what you do in business, no matter what kind of a business you have, you are trying to solve a problem. That's the whole nature of business, right? Somebody has a problem, you have a solution. Let's get those two things together. Okay. So, it could be that your client needs copywriting services and you're a copywriter. Okay, brilliant. If they need copywriting services and you're a copywriter, you're a match for that person, right? They might need, from in my instance, might need business coaching. Somebody is looking for help with their marketing, or looking with their help with accountability, or some coaching of some sort. I'm a business coach. I can help you with that, right? I will help you with that solution. So you've got to be really clear on what that problem is that you are solving. And if it's a product, it might not necessarily be as obvious if you're dealing with end consumer, but you really got to think about that. What is the problem? There's always some sort of a problem. It may not be as we say, a wake up in the middle of the night problem, something that's keeping them awake, like somebody like a health coach. They solve a very big problem, helping people to lose weight and stay on that weight loss track, right? That could be, if it's like a big enough stressor to them, that's a wake up in the middle of the night problem. But not every body has has a solution to a big problem. It could just be a small problem. Whatever your product is, that is also a problem or a solution to a problem that somebody has. I always remember that in college we heard the story that people don't buy drill bits, they buy holes in the wall, So really remember that you are talking about the benefits of your product as the solution, rather than the product, the like features of the product, right? Now, that's a topic for a whole different story, but I hope you get what I'm saying there. Let me know in the comments if you've any questions, and let me know that you are following along when tracking with what I'm saying, okay? So you've got to be clear on who you're talking to, and you also have to be clear on the message that you have. And this really involves you going into yourself and figuring out what it is that you want to say. Because, there are so many options that people can have, right? So if somebody wants to buy services from business coaches, right? So I'm just using my own self as an example. There are thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of business coaches that somebody can choose could choose from. So why would somebody pick me? Well, I like to think that people will pick me because on some level we resonate together, that I know my stuff, that they know that I know my stuff, but also of my approach and who I am and how I deal with things and how I can explain things and how I can, have how I run my business, my authenticity, transparency, all of those things, right? Now that those values might not be as important to somebody else, and they might be looking for like a really tough coach. Not that I'm not a tough coach, I can be, but they might be looking for somebody who really, drives home rigidness and structure and a lot of things that are different to what I do, different methods, different methodology. So if I'm not true and I'm not authentic in me and who I am and showing that to you by doing things like Facebook lives, Facebook posts, running little programs, running challenges, then that doesn't give you a chance to see that, right? So you're going to then pick somebody else who you do get that connection with, okay? So that's how that works. So you've got to share a little bit about your personality um in your messaging, and that involves getting, really vulnerable and really kind of showing up here, while you're being visible. That's why I promote being visible as something that you need to do. um and it's not easy. Now, the degree that you need to do it will be determined by the type of product and service that you have. I believe for a service based business, you really have to put yourself out there, front and center, because you're developing a personal brand rather than a product brand. So yourself, you are the brand, right? For a product based business, it's not exactly as uh, critical, but you do have to have some element of yourself in your product, right? And because people buy from people, and ultimately people buy from people who they know, like, and trust. um there's a little bit of, sometimes people will buy the thing even if they don't like the person selling it them, if they want the thing that bad. But rarely do we see that in service based businesses, that because, ultimately you're going to be working closely with the person who's delivering the product, or the service. So you've got to really kind of have some sort of a rapport with that person. Okay. So first of all, nobody can hear you. That's the first reason. Nobody can hear you because you're not being specific enough, or maybe you're not being unique enough. And maybe you're not talking to who your client is, right? You don't know your client well enough. Um Nobody The second reason is that nobody can see you. So what I mean by this is, again, visibility, literally and figuratively, right? But people can't see you unless you are consistently there. You're consistently showing up. And this is something that, again, really feeds into all of that fear and all of that, like, self doubt and all of those things when it comes to showing up online and being visible online. Because consistency involves you doing something repetitively all of the time. And that gets boring, especially for a creative entrepreneur, who is the type of people who I typically work with. They like change, they like to be doing different things, they don't necessarily like routine. But in order for you to get into the hearts and minds of your ideal customer, you have got to be showing up consistently. You're doing people a favor because you're constantly reminding them of you and your stuff. This really can be a challenge for a lot of people, especially if you're creative, like I say, because you're putting your heart and soul out there, you're putting your stuff out there, and you can feel like you're bugging people, right? I tend to work with a lot of people who are a little bit more on the introverted side. It's a little harder for them to put themselves out there as much as they quote unquote should do, right? But the trick is to find the way that works best for you and the way that is easiest for you. Create a solid plan, schedule it out, and stick to it. Not only are you competing, quote unquote, competing with all of these other, all of this other noise in the marketplace. You're competing with the algorithms, the computer programs that can make it very difficult for your stuff to even be seen, no matter what, you know, if you're on Instagram or Pinterest or whatever, there's always an algorithm involved, which is just a computer program. And one of the things they look at is consistency and regularity. It's one of the things that they can, really can track and favor. But also, it's just human psychology, right? People need to see people repetitively. They need to hear something repetitively before it goes in, right? Goes into the brain. And that's just the way it is. And actually, right now, it's even more so the way it is, because we are like getting so tuned out to ads and what we're hearing. We're so distracted. It's just the nature of the world that we live in today. So consistency is really important, and being repetitive. So if you're not being consistent, then I can guarantee that you're not being visible. This is something that was very evident to me over the last couple of weeks as I made the transition from America to here. And I really, I worked really hard on keeping my visibility up in Facebook. And I talked about that a little bit in the Facebook Live last week. You can go back and listen to that. Um, but it was a little more challenging on Instagram, and I kind of let the ball drop a little bit. And I had built a lot of momentum with my Instagram community, and I kind of did let it slip. I'm working to bring that back now, but somewhat I kind of lost the momentum because it builds on each other. So even if you feel like you're being repetitive, even if you think you're talking to critics, crickets, believe me, somebody out there is listening and they need to hear what you have to say. So keep doing it. Keep at it. Okay. And then the third thing is really kind of a combination of all of these things together, which is the fact that nobody knows you. So one of the reasons why you don't have clients is that nobody actually really knows you. And I can expand on that a little bit more, which is nobody knows, likes and trusts you, because this KLT factor is super, super important. And really what all of marketing is all about is trying to build that know, like, and trust factor with your audience, with your prospective clients. Linda says it's so hard for introverts working on getting out of my comfort zone. I know, Linda, I appreciate that. I mean, it really is. It's something that you have to constantly, have top of mind, but it's those often those harder things that we have to do. The things that stretch us the most are the things that actually have the biggest payoff, right? Um, so getting back to that last point, nobody knows, likes, or trusts you. And the fastest and easiest way for me, I believe, for people to get to know, like, and trust somebody, for you as a client, or as um, a service provider, is to do something like live video, right? To do live or even recorded video. But video allows you to get really quickly get to know somebody. For me, especially, rather than reading, because I'm not such a big on reading, right, or writing, but I can watch videos. I can really get a feel for somebody. I really like to be able to kind of assess what that sort of their vibe is, right? So I think that many people are like that, and Facebook allows us to do so much of this now in the comfort of our own home, right? So if you're not big at getting out there and meeting people, networking, you can kind of do a little bit of a video for your own self, so on your page, so that people will get to know, like, and trust you a little bit more. We've got to, of course, let go of all the perfectionism. We have to deal with all the fear. We have to overcome all of the discomfort, right? But by stretching yourself out there, I know that there are big leaps and bounds to be made there, and big changes can happen when you make a big change, right? So, those are the real reasons, or some of the real reasons, why I believe that you're really not getting the clients that you desire, despite having the beautiful website, despite even maybe showing up online all the time. Right? That's the other big one, right? You may feel like you're being visible, but you're actually either not doing it in the right way, you're not talking to the right people, you don't have the unique message or the uniqueness that you need, and you're not giving people an opportunity to really get to know you. Okay. So If you would like to work on this more, I would love to support you in your journey, and I would love for you to sign up for a visibility assessment with me. I will drop the link below. I can actually put the link up here, although it is not clickable, but you can check into that when you have time. And also wanted to let you know about something that is happening on starting July 29th. Now, we're only right at the beginning of July, but we will be running a boot camp because I'm such a workout-holic, not really, but I do like the idea of doing a boot camp. And we are going to be running a Get Visible, Get Clients boot camp from July 29th on for that first week in that last week in July, running into the first week in August, and it is going to be a lot of fun. So keep your eyes peeled for some more information on that. That's going to be a lot of fun. We are going to do a lot of different prizes in that. We're going to have some fun little bonuses for people who complete all of the work. And that's going to be happening in our Facebook group. So I will post some more information. If you're not already in the Facebook group, we will post some information about that as we approach probably the end of this week, but keep an eye out. If you are interested though in getting started before the end of the month, I would invite you to do that visibility assessment call with me, and we can get you going so that you can follow you can end this year strong and get really prepared for the next decade. I seen somebody write the next decade, 2020. Um, get ready to rock and roll before that comes around, because we've only got like half the year is gone. So we want to make sure that we are doing everything that we can now before the end of the year to well position ourselves. So if you were to start working with me now, you would really be in a good position to do that. So that's all I had today. I went a little bit longer than I did. Unless you have any questions, like I said, use hashtag replay. Let me know that you are watching just so that I can give you a shout out and thank you for joining me. I really do appreciate you taking the minute to do that. And until next week, I will speak to you then. Take care. Bye bye.